Okay, so this one is solving a system of nonlinear equalities. Okay, so we know from grade 10 we could stack equations on top of each other and eliminate them. You also learned in grade 10 that you could take an equation and substitute it in. And you could graph two things and see where they intersect. That's what you did in grade 10. Okay, ready? Substitution. We're going to try this using all three ways. Okay, ready? If y is equal to x squared, does this make sense to you that I could replace that y with an x squared? Okay, that's called a substitution in math. You can replace with something that if it's equal. Grade 11 moment. Now what do I do? Equals 0, instant. First instinct, I saw x squareds, I saw x's, I'm equaling 0. Okay, was your next instinct to try to factor? X times x, what multiplies to 2? So 2 times 1 is your only choice. And it has to add up to a negative 1. Okay, I'm not done. I gotta go plug that in now. If x was 2, what would y be? If x was 2, y would be 2 squared. So y would be 4. Creating a coordinate 2, 4. If x was negative 1, y would be negative 1 squared, which makes what? Positive 1. Okay. So that's substitution. Elimination, I'm going to place them on top of each other, but I'm going to do so that I'm making columns. Do you see my columns? Because there's an x squared column, there's an x column, there's a number column. Because in this you have to subtract, you can't do x squareds and x's with each other. Now, I'm just going to put some zeros into those spots just to make sure I am thinking about that with my math. So there was no x's in that column, there was no numbers in that column. Okay, which variable do you want to get rid of? The y. So I'm going to subtract to get rid of the y. So y subtract y is 0. X squared subtract no x squareds. Zero subtract 1 makes negative x. 0 subtract 2 makes negative 2. And now the rest would just be the same. We would do the exact same stuff now. Do you see where I got to the same equation here? Okay, which one would you have picked? If you could just pick one, which one do you think would have been the more appropriate one on this? I probably would have picked substitution on this one. Okay? Okay, graphing. Ready? How do you graph this? And you better know it. It's like a lot of points on your exam already. It's a parabola. Where do we know where it starts? The vertex. 0, 0. We haven't done anything to it. We didn't do an x minus 2 squared or plus. There's no numbers, so it's just 0, 0. And what is the basic pattern of this shape? Do you remember the pattern? 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. And then we have a y equals x plus 2. What do you know about the look of that one? What is that shape? It's not a parabola, it's not an x squared. It's a line and it will go upward. So a y-intercept of 2, and you're going to go up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. And did this equation equal this equation anywhere? Yes, right there and right there. So what are the solutions? 2, 4 is an intersection where they equal each other. Negative 1, 1. Okay, and that matches our algebra, right? Okay. When I look at this next question, ready? Picking. I'm going to give you 2 options because we're not graphing this. You don't know how to graph this one. 2 options. Would you pick substitution or would you pick elimination with the way it looks? Elimination. Is there anything I can get rid of right now without having to multiply something? Y squared, and I could do that by adding or subtracting them? Adding. Okay, so 3x squared. Y squareds are gone. 27. I'm going to divide by 3. Here's a grade 11 moment. What's the answer to that? Plus or minus 3. Because a 3 could have worked or a negative 3 could have worked. Now we're going to go plug in because now I want to figure out y. Okay, which equation do you want to plug into? The first? Okay, you can pick the first. I think I'm going to pick the second. The reason I would pick the second is because now I don't have to deal with subtractions. Okay, so 2x squared. I'm actually going to replace x squared with a 9. Right? Because x squared is just 9. Plus y squared equals 22. So 18 plus y squared equals 22. Y squared equals 4. And we write plus minus. So actually my grade 12s are doing this right now. This is a shape of the first one. It's a hyperbola, so it does like these two sideways parabolas. And this other shape is an ellipse. And guess where they hit each other? 3, 2. 3, negative 2. What are the other coordinates then? Negative 3, positive 2. Negative 3, negative 2. There's 4 answers to that because of the plus minuses. You could have had a plus 3 with a plus 2. You could have a plus 3 with a minus 2. There's 4 answers.
So do we have to write those down as our answers or just that?
If you do this, it's fine. If you wanted, I probably would have done this in my answer key maybe. Like that as a final. Okay, what would be your first instinct for number 3 when you were picking a method? So would you like to substitute or eliminate? What's your first instinct? I think either one would be fine, but how about we rewrite this? Y equals what? Could you get y alone by subtracting 71? So 5x squared minus 70. And same with the second one. Could we just rewrite that? X squared minus 6. Now you can do elimination or substitution. So I'm going to just pick substitution because we just had an example of elimination. So this is a substitution. I'm going to replace the y with that. Okay, how do we go about this now? Isolate. This is not an equal 0 because I only have one variable, so it's an isolate. So I'm going to work to get stuff together. So I'm going to minus x squared. I'm going to add a 70. I'm going to divide by 4. Therefore, x equals plus or minus 4. Okay, I gotta figure out y. So I'm probably gonna pick this spot right there. That looks like my easiest spot at the top. Y equals x squared minus 6. So y equals x squared. So 16 minus 6. So y equals 10. Not plus or minus, it's just 10. So technically, your coordinate solutions would be 4, 10, and negative 4, 10. You would have two coordinates where they're intersecting. Okay, so that one's not a plus minus. What if you got something like this on a question? What would I do for this answer? What would you do? Because 8 doesn't square root. So just leave it like that. Okay, but plus minus, but I don't really want a decimal answer, so just leave it like that.